If you are in an unhealthy relationship or suspect that you may be in an unhealthy relationship, the best thing that you can do is document, document, document. And it's not about attacking the person, because this documentation is really for you personally. It doesn't have to be on a, excuse me, this documentation is for you personally. It doesn't have to be on a platform. It doesn't have to be personally. I document in a journal. I document in a blog. Um, because for one, the journal helps me to unpack things and make sure that I'm not making light of things that don't need to be made light of, or I'm not over exaggerating things that aren't really that serious. So that is the point of the journaling. And then the blog is, even though it is a personal blog, it's kind of public. I know that people read it. And so for me, um, it creates a sense of like public accountability and justice for myself, because sometimes the self-love or the self-worth stuff, it's not actually enough to make you stop your behavior. Sometimes the embarrassment of like, oh, somebody that read my blog and knows I'm in a toxic relationship, they're seeing me in public carrying on with this toxic relationship. Sometimes that shame is more motivational than just knowing you deserve better, you know? And I hope that makes sense. Like, basically, sometimes we value other people's opinions over our own, and that's why embarrassment, for example, is a great example, because it usually, if you like trip or something and you're by yourself, you're like, whatever, I'm just a clumsy idiot, whatever, and you go on about your day, versus 25 people seeing you trip. Now you're like, Jesus. You know, it's a much bigger deal. And so it's important to document this stuff. It's important. I can't stress that enough, because our minds can only deal with so much. Like, when you are in a toxic situation, it misfires the parts of your brain that are supposed to be regulated, right? And so it keeps your cortisol, it keeps your cortisol higher. It keeps um parts of your brain responsible for regulation dysregulated, and therefore you're in a prolonged sense of danger, as opposed to somebody who is not in a um, chronically toxic situation. And mind you, I'm kind of dancing around certain things. When I say toxic, I'm being as broad as you need me to be, while also not being as specific as I would need to be or would like to be. So yeah, there's that. But understand that toxicity does include more extremity than just toxicity or just a toxic relationship. Because in my opinion, toxic is like, it's petty. It's like y'all probably shouldn't be together, but nobody's necessarily getting hurt by it, or um maybe somebody, one or both parties in the situation, don't really know their self-worth, and so they're kind of like tolerating more than they should or whatever. But yeah, like, obviously there's toxic, and then there's toxic, and then there's abusive, there's, so on and so forth. um but yeah, this is just really a short video. I don't really have much to say beyond that. I always feel like videos like this should be longer, but I mean, I've said all I have to say. Just document everything. Document everything, because um oh, I'm sorry, I actually do have more to say. So the reason I mentioned the fact that you are dysregulated is because that dysregulation can cause memory issues. It can cause you to not fully understand the depth of what you're going through because you're kind of always in that state of like being dysregulated. And so it's important to document because your mind can only handle so much, especially with prolonged dysregulation. It can't remember everything because it needs to keep you safe. And part of keeping you safe, sometimes there is a requirement of allowing you to forget certain things. And so having documentation for yourself, it really helps to get through those periods of forgetfulness and not fully comprehending the depth of what you went through. I know that I personally um, will go through things, and then maybe a year or so later, I will see them for what they actually were, and I'll just be like, oh, yeah, that's not really something that we can come back from, or, whatever. So, yep, 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 yep. Just document. Just document, document, document. I can't stress it enough. So I hope that this helps somebody, and I'll see you in the next one.